So you guys had any questions like before I can start sharing my screen? And I just wanted to understand like if you guys were able to finish the request that I've done. Like I asked you to just connect to SharePoint. I think Malika, you had an issue. Were you able to?
No, I got it, Santosh. That got clarified, and I was able to get it.
Oh, cool. What about others?
Yes,
Yeah.
Santosh. I also did it and I was able to connect it.
Okay. I think post the video was shared. It was kind of easy.
Actually, there was no recorded video.
We shared yesterday,
Yeah,
right?
just morning.
Morning,
They
it's yeah,
yeah,
late. Actually, it was a little late.
right.
Yeah, cool. So
In
if,
group, it shared the video because I couldn't see.
Yes, Kalpana. Dev has shared in
yeah,
our BI group, Power BI group, this morning.
This
yes,
morning, I don't see.
It's there, it's there.
Okay, let me check. Okay. That's fine.
no issues. If I can re-forward it again, not an issue. Okay. Let me just open up the PPT. Just a moment. So other than that, do you guys have any questions?
Maybe I'm little jumping ahead, but I tried to open that sheet, right? But I was not able to go back. Like, how do I go back? Like,
Which sheet? I didn't get you.
no, I once connected to the SharePoint and we had 4 to 5 files, right? I was trying to open one of it and I was able to see the data. So when I tried to go back to the next sheet, I wasn't able to go back. Like, I don't know how do we
Okay,
get the other sheet. So
got it. Okay. Fine. Anyways, yeah, we are going to continue with the SharePoint because there are a couple
yeah,
of more things to that. Okay.
right.
So let's continue. So yeah. So I think yeah, the link is different. Yeah, let me just open up that for you first. So this is our SharePoint link, right? And we were kind of going to the documents and we're trying to connect to this one of these Excel, right? Which is placed over here. Let me just open up the Power BI desktop. I think this is the very first, data source that we are kind of exploring. So already you guys got to know a bit. So let's try to all right. So let me just go the steps again. Have to go to get data, click on more and SharePoint. This is what you also did, I guess. And all you have to do is paste that link. Go back. Okay, this you have to paste the root URL, isn't it? Because even this
Yes.
information icon mentions the same thing. Because usually we end up entering the complete link sometimes. So we have to remove that and make sure it's only the root URL. For the very first time you get the options of login, like basic authentication and all of that you might have already seen on your machines. So once you connect for the second time, you don't see that in between screen, right? It's gone now. Okay. So now the idea is to click on transform data. Okay. Because that is this, advisable or safest place to click on transform data, where you kind of land upon the new screen, which is called as a Power Query Editor, which is the mainly used tool to clean up your data, to transform your data. All the ETL part of your data is done on the Power Query Editor. Data cleaning, data transformations, removing the null values. All the data is set up here. And once it is done, you click on close and apply, and then it quietly sits the data, then quietly sits here in this data view, and then you move to model view, and then you move on to the visualizations reporting. All right. So I think it was Divya who was asking, right? So you said
Right.
you were clicking on this.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
So, and you were landing up here. And I also told you can select any of the table. As you can see, you can observe something here on the kind. There are sheets and tables. I think I have explained this, right?
Right.
So,
It
yeah.
kind of saving the file.
Yeah.
Saving the
Yeah, so they might have done it twice, so I'm aware of it. So I would see it's always advisable to go with the table. But if you are going with the sheet, there's an additional step. You have to make sure the headers are kind of picked up, and then add it. So let me just click on either of this thing is fine. Let me just click on a table. What happens in table one? What happened? Product dim has come. Okay. Did you observe this? Like, for example, I clicked on table one. What has happened is
Yeah.
that there are we are going to talk about PowerQuery editor in details. Okay. And we are going to talk about it, and then we are going to kind of see what are the steps applied in each and every steps here. So whatever you do on this screen called PowerQuery editor, everything is recorded, not via video, but yeah, it's steps, as you can see. Firstly, what happened, I kind of imported this SharePoint Excel site, and then second thing what happened, it's kind of navigated it to one particular sports data.
Okay.
And then what happened, a table called table one got picked up. Can you see? So we can actually, since it's recorded, you can go back in time also. You can see, you can go back wherever the step is, and you can see, you can stand
Okay.
there. You are asking how to go back, right?
Right, right. Yes, okay.
You see that now? You can go back till here again,
Okay.
and you can kind of overwrite then. So okay, I think I clicked on the wrong file. Maybe I want to connect to budget data. Okay, I click on it. It's kind of ask you to, can I override the subsequent steps because earlier I have done something else? Yes, please. Then you can see it kind of
Okay.
importing it to the table. And since we have sheets and tables, like we already see that, kind of check on any one of these things. So as you have seen earlier, I've clicked on a table, and let me show you how to click on it. Now click
So
on it.
both will have same content, right? It's just a
That's what
saving
I'm
is different.
yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
coming there. So
Oh,
this very
okay.
step, yeah, I'm there. So earlier when I clicked on table, what happened is there, if you notice, the column names were there. The column names were there by default.
Correct.
Now what happened? The column names are not there. The column names are sitting in the data itself. You can see city, sales budget, and year, right? So what
Okay.
happens, especially in the Excel sheet on the day, I also explained you, if they are not formatting as a day, like control T, like if there is an Excel, like there's a data I showed you, if they are doing a control T, automatically that is being formatted, like serial number, like employee name, 1 2 3, right? Right. So this is the data, right? So now what happens? Let me save this. Let's import this file. Also, you'll see demo. Save. I just save it. So if I'm not doing control T and I'm not making it a table, how it looks? Okay. Let's come on this. Let's open up a new instance. Maybe let's keep this aside to not get confusion. Okay, I'll just open up a new Power BI desktop, and then just I'll show you. We can also import Excel data, right? Just like SharePoint. So what I do is I'll just close this. I'll just get data. I'll just go to more. I'm following these additional steps because I wanted to get acquainted to these steps. Otherwise, I would have done by clicking on this shortcut. You can see on this Excel workbook. So I can search for Excel, which is again, it will show up the same very first option and click on OK. And then go to desktop. And this was the dataset that I've created just now, demo dataset. Now, what you guys see, there's only one option, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So when you click on that, what happens? I think some, okay, let me share. Yeah. So what has happened is, Power, see, as you can see now, even there's an, column names are readily available now. But actually, what has happened is, by default, it's not available. If you go back in steps like source and then navigation table, you can see column 1, column 2. But Power BI has kind of, become, they're kind of making it more, intelligent, because it's kind of understanding what kind of data is sitting out there and what you might have done. So these two were kind of manual steps that we need to perform from our end. Basically, these two steps I'll be explaining you in a while. Okay, these two steps are kind of our steps which we have to do it separately, but it has automatically done from its end. Okay, and it is a kind of giving you the header names. Whereas if you look at this, and what I'll do is I'll save it as a second file now. Dataset 2. And what I do is I kind of make it a control T, and I'm making my table name is a table 111. Okay, I'll say formula missing a what happened. Do it again. Control T. Okay, I'm disturbing the formula. Okay, fine. Here you have to rename the table name. So what I'll do is table 111 something, so that you guys know it's the table that we have created. Okay. Now I'll close this. So I've created a new data set. So there's another option. Actually, you can also get it from here as well. So even in from Power Query editor, you can actually go to new source, click on more, just like get data. Okay, this is an additional option that you can learn now. And go back to Excel, workbook, connect, and click on demo dataset 2. Now you kind of observe the steps. What is happening? Now I'm going to select the table 1. Click on OK. Look at the steps. Step 1, there was promoted headers. I mean, sheet 1 for table which is already formatted. There's no promoted header step. Do you see that? That's the difference.
Yes.
That is what I wanted to convey. So when you are having a sheet, the columns are not, by default available. You have to kind of identify them manually, or even the tool might does for you with an additional step called promoted headers. What is that promoted headers? So let me just kind of remove them and redo take it. Sorry, your voice is too low.
Yeah, this thing, can you explain?
Yeah, I'll explain that. Before that, I just wanted to make sure if this is being recorded.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm saying is, my focus was to identify what is the difference when we are kind of picking up sheet and picking up table. There is not much of difference, but there is small difference which you have to be aware of. So that's my focus. So I'm trying to convey for the same thing. That's why I've come back to the Excel sheet. I'm trying to show you by creating a sample Excel sheet. Like first, what I've done is I've picked up a random sheet with the dataset 1, which only has a sheet. And the second time, what I've done is I created a table. So that's where you were able to see two options there, sheet 1 and table 1. When you go back to the steps here, you can see sheet 1 and table 111. So what I've done is I've kind of navigated to table. So what happens when I navigate to table is automatically the column names are there. You can see serial number is a column name, employee name is a column name. But this is what I was trying to convey. So when you go to sheet 1, when you navigate it, what has happened? Do you see column names as a column names? It's just a column 1, column 2, but the original columns are sitting in the rows, the data itself.
Right.
I mean, I hope I conveyed whatever I want. So let me know
Yes,
if you have
yes.
any questions. You got it, right?
Right.
Okay.
So while
yeah,
picking to work, we should always choose the table, right?
table. Even if you
Okay.
miss it, it doesn't matter much. But it's always a good practice to pick up a table. But since you are aware of it, yeah, you can always come back and fix it. Where is it the issue and all,
Okay.
right? You have to understand
Okay.
that. That's different. So what I have to do if I go with the sheet, I have to do an additional step, which is available within the Power BI called this option. This is one of the transformation options that you have to use in the Power Query editor called use first row as headers. Okay. Promote the first row of this table into column headers. When you click on this, you can see it is intelligently done an additional step for you. Actually, I have just promoted one and I just wanted to promote this headers, but also it has done in the first step. You can see it has promoted the headers here. But again, it has done the subsequent step called change type. We'll talk about change type and all in our coming sessions. For now, we'll just leave it. Okay. So this is how you have to do. So let's go back to our SharePoint. Where? So this is where as our SharePoint, like we have kind of come back to the budgets, and instead of budgets, I have clicked on. I mean, instead of other table, like I have clicked on this particular sheet, and I was trying to tell you the column names are not picked up. So again, I have to do the same thing. Use first row as headers.
Why it wasn't automatically done? Like previously, it was done automatically, right? So
Yeah, that's what I explained. Can anybody tell? Kalpana Malika?
maybe I'm lost. I'm sorry.
No
Yeah.
issues.
Pardon, could you repeat?
The question is why it was not automatically done. For example, when I picked it up, it didn't pick up this city sales budget here as automatically here.
Is it a sheet
Because
that?
when we create the table, that's what it comes. No, we need to change.
Yeah. So what did we pick up now?
Sheet.
Is it a table or is it a sheet? You can see on the right side steps.
Yeah, it's sheet.
It's sheet. So if it was a table, for example, let me delete this tab. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'll click on table.
Okay.
Now just observe the steps here. Just observe. Keep looking at the steps as well as looking at the data. What happened
Yeah.
now?
Now we see on columns the headers names.
Right. Divya, did you get it?
Yeah, I understand this. Basically, sheet will not be in proper thing, and this will have. But when we add the Excel sheet, right, the demo
Got it,
one.
got it. Yeah, your question I got it. So that's what I'm saying. It is they are kind of making it little intelligent. So sometimes it kind of recognizes the data and does the extra step for us instead of we doing it manually. It does the extra step for us.
Okay, so it is not all the time that it does
Not
all
all
the
the
time,
time. It's
right?
not all the time.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, got it. So
Okay.
got
That's
confused with that. So.
no issues. Yeah, that's not common with all the data sources. Again, for maybe Excel, it is kind of going through and scanning it and picking it up, but for SharePoint, it's stopping it there, and so, depending on how else to do right like
Got it.
this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so here we have to do it manually. So this is how we connect to SharePoint. So what we have done, we just entered an URL, we have signed in, and we kind of able to select the table. So and also we can go back and change the table if you are planning to connect to another table, right? And once it is done, we can click on close and apply. So once you are done with the changes, your table is ready. What you do is you just click on close and apply. So it will commit the data to your model or your Power BI desktop. So you can see it will load. It will do a couple of things which we'll talk about, what it does and all. So what it does is basically you have to understand it will commit the data and make it available in the data view here.
I have one question, Santosh. So when you get the data, right, either from Excel sheet or from the SharePoint, we see two options called load and transform data, right?
Yes.
So what is the difference between load and transform data, and why do we always prefer a transform data?
Yeah, it's a good question. Let me just answer that for you. Okay. So let's take an example here only. Or else we'll go back to this SharePoint. Yeah. So this is a SharePoint set. So if I have to go back again, I have to click on transform data. Okay. I have to go back again. So I'm coming back to the transform data. So transform data or a Power Query editor is the main screen that is kind of, you have to spend your time where you have to make sure the data you're getting into your Power BI is taken care, like is it in proper shape, is it in not the repeated data, or it is you have to get rid of the null values, or it is you have to make sure the column names are proper, the data types are proper. You have certain steps in Power BI that you have to do. So anyways you have to spend some time on Power Query editor. So that is one of the reason you click on transform data and you land up here and you make sure you continue with your data cleaning activity. That is one of the reason. Okay. The other main reason is, I'll just tell you. The other main reason is when you click on load, certain things you cannot do directly. Like for example, in certain cases, even though it has loaded the data, let me show you. We'll get the answer now. Let me come back to the previous steps, right? So let me just re-import it again. Budget data. Or else what I'll do, I'll just close this. I'll just go to my data set. But Excel, if you are picking up, it's kind of intelligent now. But let's see. I can select sheet 1 and click on load data. Okay, what it does is it kind of gets your data here, right? Okay, and you can see the sheet 1 is there and you have column names available. My idea was to show, let me just go back to the more, let's get data from SharePoint again. So let's click on load, okay? You bought the query to now. Basically, you can see you got 6 rows, it says. Okay, you close it and you can see. So what is the data that you got in the query to now? Do you get my point? Basically, when you are connecting to SharePoint, you're getting some metadata from the SharePoint, right? So it directly gets you the table. It doesn't allow you to do any changes or where you are actually interested in kind of a subset of the table. Where it's actually a table over there. Okay. So you don't have an option to do anything other than getting the thing that is coming on the pop-up. So this was on the pop-up, right? So on the pop-up. So the same way I wanted to show for Excel, but what was the problem here is when I tried to import the Excel dataset too, it was intelligently converting the employee name and serial number into columns. But actually, if it is not doing that conversion, here you end up looking at column 1 and column 2, not the employee name and serial number. Column 1 and column 2. And the dataset would have. You getting my point? So if it is not converting it, what would have been the case is, let me just show you. If it is not, this is actually automatically applied these steps. Okay. So when you click on load, what was happening is it was coming the other way. Let me just wait for the changes to reflect here. It will get as a column 1 and column 2. Just wait.
Okay.
You see? So when you click on
Oh,
load, this was the case actually. When you drag and try to look at the data, the columns name were part of the data. That was the problem. You're getting my
okay,
point. So
okay,
this was the case.
okay.
However, this so what is happening with Power BI is they're kind of updating it very regularly, and it is getting more intelligent. So this is this issue you can see with many other data sources. So the reason why we are going with the transform data is when you click on load, you're not actually completing all the steps that are required for data cleaning and coming getting the data for the reporting purpose. We are kind of
Okay.
coming from between where there's some steps involved. So what you have to do, you have to go again to transform data, secondary step, and you have to do that anyways, right? You have to do
Okay.
that anyways.
Okay.
So what we are suggesting is don't do click on load, do go to directly transform data, look through your data, do some steps if required. If not, also fine. You go there and come back. If not, also fine. Like
Okay.
go there and come back. That's an
Okay.
additional step. This is a add-on step. Okay.
Right. Okay. Got it.
All
So
right.
Santosh, here you are saying like if you go with the load data, the columns might not be in the correct, like we don't get the title in the column, the first row. I mean, like if you go with the transform data, we'll be getting the column names on top. Is
Yeah.
that what?
That's what I told you, and it's and also to add on to that, it's not doesn't stop only there. It as a report developers, we are relying on many other things, not only the column names, right? Not only the column names. Here I mentioned this column names, but there are so many things that you have to take in care, like because your data has to be proper. So let's assume your data is having some nulls. So you have to definitely go to your transform data and remove that null values. Right? If your data is not in a proper format, in the sense the type, maybe you can see right now this is a number, but you can see it's coming serial number. That means this is a text type. It should be coming as a text type, but actually it should be a number. So I have to go back to transform data and make sure this serial number is my column name, and make sure 123 is in a number format. That also have to take in care. There are a lot of things, not only the column names. That's the reason you have to go to transform data and make sure everything is fine, right? And then come back here. So that's an additional step. That's where I'm suggesting don't lose that step. Go to transform data. If you are coming to load, you have to go back again anyways. Even if not immediately, later on when you're trying to sum it up, you see, oh, the values 1 2 3, and there's some text value in my field. I'm not able to do summation. I'm not able to add a few things. Then you have to understand why it is happening, and then you click on this column, and you understand, okay, the data type is text, not the number. Oh, so I have to do something, or cannot directly convert the number. So I have to go back to your transform data and make sure your serial number is on the top, or you have to remove the text values from this field and make sure only the numbers are there, and then convert the data type into number. So all that we are going to see anyways in our transformations, right? So you got my point, right, Kalpana? Like there are not only the one reason, but there are so many other reasons. All right. Okay. So this is all about SharePoint, like Excel file using SharePoint. So yeah, so we'll have a couple of more options for the SharePoint. So can anybody remember what was the other part that we thought of? Let's go to get data. Let's go to more.
Other part.
Yeah,
List
SharePoint.
or
Exactly, list.
list. Yeah.
Yes.
And online also is there.
Yes. So we've seen, like, we have used these connectors. So all these are connectors, right? All these certified connectors, whatever you call them, right? So these are the connectors which are available from Power BI, and we are kind of using this as reference to connect to any other data sources. So we were using SharePoint folder to connect to the Excel file, which is placed on different folders under SharePoint. So now if somebody is asking you to connect to an Excel file which is stored on a SharePoint, you know now how to do it. Right. Now, in similar fashion, they say, boss, I'm not using a Excel file based on a SharePoint, but we are kind of using a list, which is actually can be creatable on a SharePoint. So SharePoint is majorly used to create lists. I mentioned one more thing to you guys in my previous sessions, that these Power Apps, a lot of applications have been created with many companies. So as a Power Apps, their data source is majorly relying on SharePoint list. That's where many people are creating a lot of lists. and then you can basically use those lists to connect to your reporting purposes. So what are the lists like? We just have a look at the list first, like I showed you on the other day. So whenever you're creating a list, it is kind of on the SharePoint. Like if they are creating lists, they will be sitting on the SharePoint. Just show you the site contents, which be so here on the site contents, there should be see something called sales list, which is created just for the sample. As you can see, this type is list, and it is one of the data source that can be, connected to any other app. That is, maybe let's assume this is a sales app, and or on the app, people are entering the data, like, what was the order today, like, what was the sales order, say SO number, and then order date, ship date, customer name, channel. So they might be entering all the data. Once they submit the button, the new record comes here and sits here. Okay, that's what they are doing. So this is a live data. Let's assume it's a live table. Okay, list table. So now we have to connect to sales list in the SharePoint. So now what I have to do from my Power BI desktop. So I wanted to connect to the list, and I see there are two different connectors available to do that. Okay. So basically, online list and list, there's certain difference using these two. On SharePoint list is something again we people use in the local machine also instead of online list. Right now we are seeing this is an online list. When I mention online list, you can also open this from your end. You already have access to r4k5.com, like this particular SharePoint, right? Similar fashion, you can come to site contents and just look for the sales list and click on this. You guys can open up this. That means this is online. This list is online, and anybody out of you three guys can open on your machines the same list. Okay. So this is a SharePoint list online. Whereas this SharePoint list itself, basically, that is confined to your local firewall, where sometimes your SharePoint is not accessible elsewhere other than the VPN or the organization's firewall. Right? That time you can use the SharePoint list. Not much difference. Everything is same. Just the place you use is different. That's it. Getting my point.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
process is
online list
same.
can be accessed from anywhere, but
Anywhere.
list is
Yeah.
specific to
Yes.
organization. Okay.
Organization, or something which is local, because SharePoint sometimes you only be accessible in your local machine, and then you can use that one. But this online list is kind of online, which is that we are connecting right now. Let's click on that. So as you can see, just like any other data source, it has got its own way of asking its inputs, right? And first thing I ask you is to go to information icon all the time. Here also it is asking enter the root URL for the SharePoint site, not including subfolders. That's the same thing. So by you guys should be knowing what is the root URL. Let me just copy and paste this. Right. And here you see a couple of more options, like implementation, advanced options. Let me explain you quickly what is this all about. Okay. So whenever you are connecting to SharePoint, observe this. SharePoint, since in the past SharePoint folder also we have connected, there was a pop-up initially came up, which is giving you the 4 to 5 list, which was showing what are the tables which are sitting on the folder. You remember? Yeah.
Right.
Right. So we call it as a SharePoint metadata. So since it's on under the SharePoint, it is reading the SharePoint and showing this is the data. Similarly, when you connect here, uh, it is also shows the metadata. Okay. That is the same, but again, how it is showing the metadata is different with the options that we are going to select. Like because they are coming up with the version 2 recently, beta, which is in the beta format, and version 1 is the older one. Okay. Version 2 is kind of beta format, which is kind of allowing you to retrieve all the columns from a SharePoint or retrieve some default columns. So we can also set up some default columns which are available for default view under SharePoint. The SharePoint developer, what they can do is they can make sure this is they can make sure some default columns available to view on the front end. So I'll tell you what is default columns, what are more columns. Okay, let's go with the one option first. Okay, but this is a regular option. You click on it, what happens is What happens is you observe the pop-up, what is coming up, and what are the subsequent steps that are involved. Let me show you. As you can see, do we really have these many tables or these many things, these many lists in our SharePoint? Can you see a lot of app data? It says when you click on app data, it says some empty table, app files, empty table, user information. Yeah, there's some user information which is kind of showing you what ID, some notes, some stuff. Anybody, what is all this data? Anybody wants to comment? Anybody wants to comment?
No idea.
Okay. Says file system object type, ID, blah, 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 list template. Also, I can see my list here. Can you see my list here?
Yeah,
List?
sales
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. And when I click on it, luckily I'm able to see, oh, okay, but I don't see file system object type, some ID, some, you have to have some, my data is something related to sales orders, dates, where is that? Oh, yeah, there's something over here, sales orders, dates. Let me navigate further. I think have something called field 2, field 3, wholesale. Yeah, I think I can see my data here, right? Along with some unwanted data, right? So the idea
Correct.
is, yeah. So the idea is SharePoint. What it does is basically it brings you all the metadata it stores. Okay, that's where it has got all the system data from the SharePoint site. This is all system data. Right. It brings you all the data. So you have to identify what is required and what is not, and then you have to pick it up. And even you identify what is required. Maybe I have identified I require my sales list. Even then, that particular list also have some system data again, because that is also stored in a certain format in the SharePoint. So when you click on, see again, one more answer for your last question, I think, Divya. You are asking why should
The
you
load
click
and
on load and run?
Yeah,
When I click on load, what happens now? I get all the unwanted columns, which is like just
correct.
what happens. Just click on load.
Which we can't edit. There.
We can edit it again. For that, we have to go back to transform data, right? We have to go
directly we
back.
can click
Yeah.
over there,
Yeah.
transform that.
So it's of no use. We are kind of doing an unwanted step, right? Because this is getting all the unwanted columns, some crap columns which are not required. And for that reason, you have to come here and always see how much time it is taking. Sometimes you have more data. Literally, you end up spending 3 minutes, 4 minutes here, and you are
Okay.
kind of not being productive, right? So
Right. Okay.
that's where you have to make sure you kind of directly jump to that. You can see just 7,000 records and it taken so much time for this list. And if you can go back to your data view and go to click on sales list, and you can see you got file system object type, all this blah blah unwanted crap data, where your actual data is sitting here, right? And again, whenever you connect to SharePoint, right, you have some additional steps that you need to work on anyways. A lot of stuff, like you have to make sure you clean up. What was I saying? Cleaning up your data. What do you do in your transformations? You clean up, you delete these columns, right? You make
Okay.
sure
Understood.
we do a lot of the stuff. Anyways, we are going to talk that in our coming sessions. So how do you go back? You have to go back by clicking on transform data. So either you can go back from here also, or here also. Anyways, it's the same thing. So it's the same transform data. It will open up the Power Query editor, which use a new window totally. Right.
Okay.
Santosh, I have a question. You said like if we go with load, so we'll be getting unwanted data.
Malika, your voice is too low. Is it only for me? Because I'm trying to.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's low.
No, it's in full volume.
Sorry, still I didn't get you, Malika. Your voice is low.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is we are loading data by using load and transform, right?
Yeah.
So you said like once we get through load, we'll be getting unwanted data too. So my question is like after doing the load, then we are selecting the transform data to change. Like if you want to change anything, do we
Right.
do it manually or like is there any formula kind of thing where we can use to transform the data?
It's manual step. Manual step. You have to click on transform button, come back to here. There's no automatic one. It's manual step, and also it has to be taken care from your end, because if you are directly going to the load, you might have challenges like these, right? Not only these, lot of things I'll be explaining you going forward. But yeah, there's no automatic step. You have to manually come here.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can see there's a lot of things. So we have to clean it up, and you have to select only those columns. You have to delete this column. For example, I can right click and delete this column, remove. So something like that. You can select multiple columns. So I can delete all these columns. Okay, these are the transformations that we are going to look into it. So you're getting what I'm doing. And again, these are like ABC and 1, 2, 3, which is not a predefined format. So it should be text. I can click on this and click on text. I'll be explaining you all this. Don't worry about this. Okay, I'm just giving a heads up. Okay, this is a text I've converted. So these all things we have to do it here in the transformation. So right now, what I'm going to focus on is the connection part, especially the SharePoint. So this is how we got with the 1.0 version. So let's come back again. I think this what I'm doing is I'm being a little productive. I'm not clicking on close and apply, and that's where I'm just utilizing an option from here as well. Go to new source, and go to SharePoint from directly from the Power Query editor, right? And I'm going to click on online list, and I'm going to paste the same. Earlier you have seen 1.0. Now you see 2.0.
Yeah.
And what is the difference? You get an additional option to select something called default or all. So what is this? This is what I was talking about. So your SharePoint developer can actually set up some default columns, where maybe out of this more than, you can see 37 columns. You can see the information here. You can see below there were 37 columns. Instead of this, there can be the main important one, maybe 10 columns. So your SharePoint developer can set up something to showcase only the 10 columns. So that time you can select the default view. If they have done from their end, it will show up here. Otherwise, it will not show up here. When you click on default view, you only get those 10 columns. Okay, that's pretty much of this new 2.0 beta connector. And also, if you click on all, when you click on OK, let's see what happens. And then select the sales list. Now observe the data. And we click on OK also. Did you observe the data?
Yes, we got
there's
only
no
the one we need.
Yeah. So that's
the
the
additional.
that's the latest option, which is kind of it's in beta stage, as you have seen that option, right? So earlier, whenever people were using SharePoint, you were kind of facing this challenge, this kind of you have to remove this columns manually, where otherwise this file system, object type, ID, all this metadata, right? All this you can see. There's so much data is available. You have to manually delete them. Whereas even here, we can see the main columns which are coming from the list itself are coming, right? But not the metadata. Metadata is not coming in the second scenario when you are using the beta or the 2.0 connector, SharePoint 2.0 connector, right? That's the only difference between the two ways of going with the SharePoint connector, SharePoint online list. All right. Are we done? How to connect to SharePoint, which has covered with the SharePoint folder and SharePoint list.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we are also done with Excel. We have seen the Excel part by now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me show you something which is CSV. Since we have covered Excel, CSV is straightforward. Let me show you. Let me delete this. Delete it up. Okay. So now again, how do you do that? Like, it is also one of the data source. We just click on more and search for CSV, right? Just part of the text file. So CSV is sometimes also stored in text format, as you all know, comma separated files. or else
Yeah.
.csv files, right? You all know that. So for this, you need to have some handy CSV file should be handy, right? Let me showcase CSVs for you and something here. Maybe let's pick up one CSV files. Let's paste it here. Okay. So right now we have a adventure works CSV file, and then on my desktop, I'll just click on connect. It will allow me to browse. So on my desktop, as you can see, click on adventure works sales 2017.csv file, which is the CSV file, and click on open. I just clicked on open, and you can see there's a preview of it, and there's an options of load and transform data. You can click on load, or you can transform data. It's up to you. If you want to spend some more time, you can click on load and come back here. Whatever you require, you can see I've just clicked on it, and it's kind of promoted headers, right? It has this, it was promoted headers, it was understood intelligently. There's some header values, and also it has actually does the change type for us. You can see I showed you one for one of the step, especially the title part, right? Sales order, I've converted it to text, which was manually done. But here it has intelligently done for all of the columns. You can see all of the columns is converted. Whereas that was a manual step for you to do in some scenarios. However, I'm going to cover that in my transformations, like what is the thing that you have to make sure. Yeah. So you can see this is a CSV file. It's a pretty much straightforward, like just like Excel, right? It's pretty much straightforward, any other file. So by now you should be getting how you can connect to Excel, how you can connect to CSV, we can connect to SharePoint. Now what we do is we go something with OData. Okay. What is an OData? OData is kind of a technical term. Okay. Let me just show you. Let's say I don't know what is OData. OData. I just search for that in the Google. So it says OData seems okay. It says Open Data Protocol. So what is Open? It is one of the way of connecting, like OData RESTful API. So it's one of the way that you can actually connect that to your from the cloud. So basically is an approved that defines a set of best practices for building and consuming RESTful APIs. OData helps you focus on your business logic while building RESTful APIs without having to worry. So basically, it is kind of a web-based thing which kind of allows you to host your data, especially these website creators and people who work on coding, right? So kind of whatever the data which is on the website can be allowed to consume via internet using some links. That is OData. That's it. Okay. So just for you to understand the technical term, I just came up here so that it's not much of a complex thing. So what is OData? So I have a sample data for you, sample data set for you called Northwind database, which is kind of residing on the cloud, which is on the cloud, but it's on the OData. Let me just I'll search for it as a Northwind database OData. And this is the very first thing you can see. Okay. Go back. Let me click on the very first link. This is the very first link. Yeah. So as you can see, there's something which is showing you some XML file on the website. This is on the internet, right? I just Googled it for it, and it was on the Google, and I'm able to open up this link. And what it is telling us is basically it's the data is available for you to consume. Especially you can see there are a lot of tables like categories, customers, employees, order details, orders. It is saying that the data is kind of on the website. They're kind of on the internet, and they're telling that it's the OData is allowed. Like they kind of made it. The developers have made it an XML file. We are not going into technical part of it because it's not required for us. So there's some OData thing is they are making it available via something like OData. We can consume the data from website also. Okay. That's what the main idea is. So that is one of the connector where you use it to connect to some of the websites, whichever website is providing you OData, we can kind of connect to your data. So let's see what is this. So I have the URL, and they said this can be consumed via OData. So how do I consume? Just go back to my Power BI desktop and just click on get data. click on OData feed, and then paste that link here. Just copy this link and paste it here and click on OK. Still this, click on OK. As you can see, it is asking to the next steps, like, because it's a public website, I can go with anonymous. I told you it's public website, I can go with anonymous. But if it was your company's website, if it was my website, I would have kind of provided you with some authentication, maybe basic authentication. If it was a Microsoft website, they would have given with a Microsoft organization account. Click on sign in and Microsoft account, right? But since it's an open website, they are asking you to test that OData. They are asking you to practice it. So they're giving it anonymously. You can click on anonymous for now. Click on connect. What is happening? It's kind of establishing connection with OData and kind of reading the data and the tables from the online internet and kind of getting you on this particular screen. As you can see and observe, it is trying to read all the tables that they are allowing it via OData, and you can see the link is coming up and it will subsequently show you the tables, and you can see employees table, order details, orders. Like when you click on any of the table, it will show you the preview of that particular table as well. And also whenever you have this kind of screen, you can actually select multiple tables and also get those tables simultaneously onto your transformation data, right? That is also possible. So for now, we'll just click on employees and then click on transform data, and you can see the data is now sitting, which is actually coming from the online. You're getting my point. So similarly, yeah, so when it is used, like, so one of the major example that I keep giving is IMDb, right? IMDb. So even IMDb, I mean, earlier it was providing you a lot of options, but they are restricting it. But still, there's some part of it still available. IMDb, OData. Earlier, it was completely available to access via OData. Somewhere it is not kind of allowing it. Let's see, like, let's just connect this, or else, yeah, I think there was some special set is still available, like IMDb top 250, yeah, 250 movies OData link. Yeah. I think this link is allowed, I think, yeah. So let me just select this link and try to look for go to source and click on OData feed and select this particular file and click on OK. Anonymous, you can see. Let's see if it is. So again, it might not directly give you the table structure, like it might get the metadata whenever you're connecting to it. It's not allowing you. Maybe there should some other link. I'm missing it out. Let me give that. I think this one, the additional link. I think this one will come up. Earlier it was coming the entire website, but it's not coming up now. They put a lot of restriction, but there are a few links that will be working still. I think even this is removed or what. Trying. It's not allowing. So the idea is to, maybe I find it and I'll share that in the group so that you can try getting some movie related information. Okay, because there was a link which was working. Somehow it is not coming up here, but I think I have it elsewhere. I'll share that with you. So the idea is you can get the data from that particular IMDb website also as a tabular format. You can get the movies, but along with some metadata, you might have to clean it up and make sure you just showcase the main part of that. So the idea is to understand the OData is basically allows you to connect to various websites for getting the data. Right. Any questions still here?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll try finding that particular URL and I'll share that with you so that you can try with the IMDb, and maybe tomorrow we can go with the OneDrive and then SQL Server database. It's kind of an interesting one. It takes good amount of time, SQL Server database. So we kind of spend more time on that, and also OneDrive little bit of time. So I'll share that IMDb link. Somehow I'm not finding, but you just try it out. I'll give you in the group maybe after some time. Okay. So I just want you to replicate the same thing, whatever I've done. I want you to connect to the various data sources, especially Northwind is still available on public, right? Northwind is available on public, and you can kind of play around with the data, getting the data into your report. And you have the SharePoint, you have SharePoint list. You can use SharePoint online list 1.0 and 2.0, connector, like you can use both of them and see what is going on. So once you replicate this, you kind of get more confident on till here, and we can move on to the next one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we get the recorded session today?
Yeah, today you will be getting it,
Like
because
little earlier.
yeah, last time I kind of shared it very late to Dev. So whenever I shared him, he kind of provided it. I'll be doing it maybe in some time, within 30 minutes, and maybe
Yeah, that would be great.
yeah, they
Could
will
you
be.
please resend the yesterday's,
Yes.
last class
Yes, I'll do that.
recorded videos? Okay. Right. And Santosh, like you did the CSV file. Is that also we need? Because I don't
Yeah,
think
I'll
so.
share that file with you. What I'll do is
Okay.
I'll upload it in a Google Drive link, and I'll share that link so that even you can practice the CSV files also. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. I think that's it for today. We'll catch up tomorrow with database session. Yeah, SQL Server database connecting to SQL
I
Server.
mean, like on Sunday,
Yeah.
the class or tomorrow?
Oh, sorry. The classes will be on your time, Sunday. Yeah, Sunday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
and Thursday your time, right?
Thursday.
So
Thursday.
only 3 days a
Okay.
week. These are the technical sessions, and I also want you to connect to the resume preparation and the career counseling one, the other sessions which are going on regularly. So whenever you have time, I want you to attend them, because majority of the times you also get a lot of information which would be suddenly helpful, because suddenly sometimes what happens in between your sessions also, like once you're done with 12 sessions or 13 sessions, you will be more confident and you will get some interview requirements, and you happen to
Right.
attend that interview and you happen to crack also. So sometimes it happens. I've seen students getting through the interviews even though they didn't complete the complete course, and then they strive with understanding the resume preparation, how to answer the vendors, how to talk to them, and what are the things that are need to be considered. So whenever you have time, just please join in.
Sure. I
Okay.
mean, we are
Okay,
on the
Santosh,
same.
I understood like what you said to attend those sessions,
Mhm.
but as I don't have any complete like no experiences, and just to add just like that in LinkedIn profile again, how, because that's totally it's a professional, so how could I um, add experience and
Yeah.
again change? It's a little bit. I need like that's why I couldn't do create the LinkedIn profile also,
That's
because
what
I don't
that
mess up like just like that enter something and enter into LinkedIn and do it, and again it's not like that. So I want to go in like a good way. So that's the reason.
that's yeah, Kalpana, that's why I'm asking you to join, because once you join this
Last day,
course.
sir, but he said that you can do it by, I mean, like taking help of your husband and you can do it. But see, as if I don't have any knowledge, just blindly I can't add anything. So that's what I was thinking. Like, let me attend few sessions, then I'll
Yeah.
get an idea, then I can go ahead.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm saying. So when you attend the sessions and when you kind of give kind of importance to the forward messages that Dave is putting, I mean some messages he keeps on putting
yes,
on the
yes,
group.
I
So when
know.
you put some look through it, in between we get different people marketing their LinkedIn profile. Just click on that link, I mean just go through the profile, what have they updated, and you get some points. It will take some time. That's why I'm saying, when you keep attending these sessions, you'll get one or the other point from this session, and it will be helpful for your building of your profile. And over the time it happens. As you told, like since you have no idea, it doesn't happen quickly. That's why I'm asking you to attend this session, so that you'll get some information on every session. Slowly you'll kind of adapt it, and you'll be in a stage that you need only little bit of information, which will be sufficient at the end. Because all these are again comes with the experience. You see people how they are doing. You get the forwards and click on their profiles and go through their profiles and try to look, okay, this person is from Salesforce, what has it done, what is, so I'm from Power BI, what I can do. And sometimes you also get Power BI profiles, so it helps a lot.
But when I'm creating LinkedIn profile itself, it's asking my experience and what is your technology and all those things. How can I mention like how many years experience in that? Because it's not allowing me without that. It's not, there is no skip button also to skip those things.
Yeah, so that's where, so when you attend the counseling sessions, what you will get in idea is like you will be listening to various people who come who question just like you. They say, I don't have any experience, or what technology I should take, and how do I manage in my, if I have zero experience, how do you think I can portray myself? So you will get the answer for this also, because it depends on individual again. If you are planning to put some experience for yourself, from guru schools, like from past 2 years, I've been working on Power BI, yeah, you can add up 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience or 4 years. So once you start attending the sessions, you will know, should I add 2 years, should I add 3 years, or should I add like 2 years of some sales experience in the past and 2 years of reporting experience very recently, total 4 years of experience. So that kind of analysis on your profile, because it has to be done by you, so it has to be think through by you, because it is your profile who you are building, right? So how do you want to portray yourself to the new market that you wanted to try your job on, right? So that idea will come slowly. I'm not asking you to come up with something today. So when you attend these sessions, you see, okay, people are coming up like this, people are they will suggesting like this, you know uh, after that you kind of ask me, Santosh, like I wanted to put some experience, what do you think, when I put Power BI experience, do you think putting 4 years would okay? Then I say, no, Kalpana, 4 years if you put, people will think you are very much confident. Since you are starting off, maybe you put 2.5 years and put some other experience, right? These kind of discussions will go on. So you'll be, your thought process will come to that level. So you keep
Yeah,
attending the session.
actually,
Yeah,
yeah, as you said that I want to put like 1 year or 2 years
that's
itself
what.
only,
Yeah.
because I don't
Mhm.
want to go like 5 years
Exactly,
in
all
that.
this thought process
Okay.
and what how people are covering it up, what
Yeah.
once you start building the confidence, like you are saying 1 year now, once you complete the session, you change your mind. You remember this, we'll talk it
Okay.
again through. You once you complete this entire Power BI session, then maybe you add it little more months to it. I'm pretty much sure you yourself do that. Let's see. So that's what I'm saying,
I
like
hope so.
to the time you'll get an idea. Okay,
Yeah,
please do
and
attend.
one more, Santosh, like for everyone, the HR is mm, they provided, but for me, like they provided Ashwini, but Ashwini is not like she's a trainer. She told me when I asked her Google Drive,
Mhm.
Google Access.
Mhm.
So I posted in group also to provide me HR, but I didn't get any answer from there. So
For that, I think Jaya, you happen to talk to Jaya.
no.
Jaya, basically, if you are enrolled via Ashwini, there's a person
Mm,
called Jaya. She is the
okay.
HR for you. She'll be the HR support,
Okay.
for you. So she'll be
Okay.
the right person to connect, and you would be getting all the things that are required. You can just mention to her saying that
Okay.
I'm actually got enrolled from Ashwini, and maybe you can also ping Ashwini directly. Ashwini, I got
Yeah,
to
in
know
the
that.
group. Yeah.
Yeah, Ashwini, can you please share the Jaya's contact, or because I wanted to talk to HR, something like that. Because when I asked to Dev also, I got to know the same thing. Like whoever is getting
Okay.
enrolled via Ashwini, Jaya is the concerned HR for that.
Okay. Thank you, Santosh, for
Yeah,
that.
no problem.
Yeah. And yeah, the request is like if you post earlier, like recorded videos, so it will be
Yeah,
more helpful to
yeah,
me.
sure. I'll have to just because it
Yeah.
usually takes some 10 to 15 minutes once we close the session to
Yeah, that's
get
fine. That's
downloaded,
fine.
and then
And
I
no,
have to pass it
not
to
today
Dev.
itself.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
for us, like morning,
Morning. Yeah, it will be done.
anytime.
I'll make sure it will be
Yeah,
done.
that's
Yeah,
fine for us.
tomorrow morning your time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Santosh.
Thanks, Kalpana.
So Santosh, I have
Divya, please.
some questions. on my LinkedIn. So I have created my LinkedIn and I have, come up with some experience. I mean, some years of experience. I just wanted to share my screen. Is it okay to share while recording?
Yeah, we'll stop sharing. Maybe I'll stop recording. We can
Okay.
start doing that. Let me